शिवशक्ति समारंभा भास्कराचार्य मध्यमाम् अस्मत् श्रीनाथ पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरु परंपराम्. हरि ओम. Okay. Raj, can you do from the 40 chapter 11 from 40 to end, and Shobha, can you do the 12th chapter 1 to 20, wherever we stop, 1 to 20.
Okay.
ततस्तौ नाशयिष्यामि विन्ध्याचल निवासिनी पुनरप्यति रौद्रेण रूपेण पृथिवीतले अवतीर्य हनिष्यामि वैप्रचित्तां स्तुदानवान् भक्त्यान्त्याश्च तानुग्रान् वैप्रचित्तान् महासुरान् रक्तादन्ता भविष्यन्ति दामिडी कुसुमोपमोः दाडिमी कुसुमोपमाः.
Yeah, the first word bhakshayantyascha.
भक्ष्यन्त्याश्च.
Yeah, full. It's a full ksha. So bhakshayantyascha.
भक्ष्यन्त्याश्च तानुग्रान् वैप्रचित्तान् महासुरान् रक्तादन्ता भविष्यन्ति दाडिमी कुसुमोपमाः. ततो मां देवता स्वर्गे मर्त्यलोके च मानवाः स्तुवन्तो व्याहरिष्यन्ति सततं रक्तदन्तिकाम् भूयश्च शतवार्षिक्या मनावृष्ट्या मनम्भसि मुनिभिः संस्मृता भूमौ सम्भविष्याम्ययोनिजा.
That first line, that better to break it at that im shata varshikyam anavrishtya. That will be right way to break it instead of manavrishtya, right?
Which number you are reading?
46.
Thank you.
Yep. मुनिभिः संस्मृता भूमौ सम्भविष्याम्ययोनिजा ततस्य तेन नेत्राणां निरीक्षिष्यामि यन्मुनीन् कीर्तयिष्यन्ति मनुजा शताक्षीमिति मां ततः ततोऽहमखिलं लोकमात्मदेहसमुद्भवैः भरिष्यामि सुरासाकैरावृष्टेः प्राणधारकैः साकाम्भरीति विख्यातिं तदा यस्याम्यहं भुवि तत्रैव च वधिष्यामि दुर्गमाख्यं महासुरम्.
Raj, that first line yasyamyaham, a sound.
तदा यास्याम्यहं भुवि.
Yeah, correct.
तत्रैव वधिष्यामि दुर्गमाख्यं महासुरम्. दुर्गा देवीति विख्यातं तन्मे नाम भविष्यति. पुनश्चाहं यदा भीमं रूपं कृत्वा हिमाचले रक्षांसि भक्षयिष्यामि मुनीनां कारणात् तदा मां मुनयः सर्वे स्तोष्यन्त्यानम्रमूर्तयः. भीमा देवीति विख्यातं तन्मे नाम भविष्यति. यदारुणाख्यस्त्रैलोक्ये महाबाधां करिष्यति तदाहं भ्रामरं रूपं कृत्वा संख्ये यशःपदं त्रैलोक्यस्य हितार्थाय वधिष्यामि महासुरम्. भ्रामरीति च मां लोकास्तदा स्तोष्यन्ति सर्वतः. इत्थं यदा यदा बाधा दानवोत्था भविष्यति तदावतीर्याहं करिष्यामरि संक्षयम्. ओम सत्या सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः. ओम नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः. नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियता प्रणता स्मताम्. सांगायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै सर्वनारायण्यै नमः.
द्वादशोऽध्यायः. ओम देवी उवाच एभिस्तवैश्च मां नित्यं स्तोष्यते यः समाहितः तस्याहं सकलां बाधां नाशयिष्याम्य संशयम्. मधुकैडभनाशं च महिषासुरघातनं कीर्तयिष्यन्ति ये दत्वद्वदं शुम्भनिशुम्भयोः. अष्टयां च चतुर्दश्यां नवम्यां चैकचेतसः श्रोष्यन्ति चैव यो भक्त्या मम माहात्म्यमुत्तमम्.
Shobha, on the first word ashtamyam. Okay. First on the first line, first word ashtamyam.
अष्टम्यां चतुर्दश. न तेषां दुष्कृतां किञ्चित् दुष्कृतोत्ता च चापदः भविष्यति.
न चापदः दुष्कृतोता न चापदः
दुष्कृतो न चापदः भविष्यति न दारिद्र्यं न चैवेष्टवियोजनं श्रुद्धो न भयं तस्य दोबा न राजतः न न शस्त्रा न लतो यौगात् भविष्यति तस्मान् ममेदन् माहात्म्यं पठितव्यं समाहितैः श्रोतव्यं च सदा भक्त्या परं स्वस्त्ययनं हि तद् उपसर्गा न शेषांस्तु महामारी समुद्भवान् तदमुत्पादं माहात्म्यं शमयेन्मम यत्र तत्पठ्यते सम्यक् नित्यमायतने मम सदा न तद्विमोक्ष्यामि सन्निध्यां तत्र मे स्थितम्
सान्निध्यं तत्र मे स्थितम्
सान्निध्यं तत्र मे स्थितम् बलिप्रदाने पूजायाम् अग्निकार्य महोत्सवे सर्वं मम दैत्यमुच्चार्यं श्राव्यमेव च जानता वापि बलिपूजां तदा कृतां परिदीक्ष्याम्यहं प्रीत्या वह्नि होमं तथा कृतं.
On the second line, first word, I couldn't hear it. Pratichishyamyaham.
प्रीत्या वह्नि होमं तथा कृतं. षत्काले महापूजा क्रियते या च वार्षिकी तस्यां ममैतन् माहात्म्यं श्रुत्वा भक्ति समन्वितः सर्वा विनिर्मुक्तो धन धान्य सुधान्वितः मनुष्यो मत्प्रसादेन भविष्यति न संशयः श्रुत्वा ममेतन् माहात्म्यं तदा चोत् यशुभाः पराक्रमं च युद्धेषु जायते निर्भयः पुमान् ऋभुवः संशयं यान्ति कल्याण रिपवः संशयं यान्ति कल्याणं चोपपद्यते नन्दते च कुलं पुंसां माहात्म्यं मम शृण्वतां शान्तिकर्मणि सर्वत्र तदा दुःस्वप्न दर्शने ग्रहपीडासु चोग्रासु माहात्म्यं शृणुयान् मम उपसर्गाश्रमं यान्ति ग्रहपीडाश्च दारुणाः दुःस्वप्नं चन्द्रुभिर्दृष्टं सुस्वप्नम् उपजायते बालगृहाभिभूतानां बालानां शान्तिकारकं सन्तादभेदे चन्द्रुणां मैत्रीकरणमुत्तमं दुर्वृत्तानामशेषाणां बलहानिकरं परं रक्षो भूता पिशाचानां पठनातेव देवनाशनं सर्वं ममेतन् माहात्म्यं मम सन्निधिकारकं पशुपुष्पार्घ्य धूपैश्च गन्धदीपैश्च तदोत्तमैः.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so that's where we stopped last time. We'll continue. Let me just see who I had for today. Sindhuji, you can be a student, and Revati, you can be actually not ahead.
Rajesh, in the 12th chapter, the second sloga, sixth sloga, 6 start with the first word.
Shatruto.
Can you repeat one more time the first word?
The Shatruto na bayam tasya, that one, or
the next one?
Tasyan mamaitan mahatmyam.
Yeah. How do we say?
Yeah. Tasman mamaitan mahatmyam. Tasman, it's actually the it is there, tasmat, but that it becomes a in because of the ma coming later. So tasman mamaitan mahatmyam.
Okay, thank you, Rajesh.
Okay. Yeah, Padma Garu, you can be student, and Sindhuji can be student. Okay, first off. Okay, so we stopped at 20. Okay, so 21. Vipranam bhojanair homaihi, that put a F there, homaif, prokshaniyair aharnisham, if you want to break it, prokshaniyair aharnisham, anyaischa vividhair bhogaihi, put a F, bhogaif, pradanair vatsarena ya. विप्राणां भोजनैर्होमैः प्रोक्षणीयैरहर्निशम् अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रदानैर्वत्सरेण या.
Rajeshi, is it anaischa or anyaischa?
अन्यैश्च. Everything.
Vipra-
Yeah, right, yeah.
Vipranam bhojaneirhomai prokshaniyarei
No,
Yeah.
प्रोक्षणीयैर् अहर्निशम्.
Make it.
प्रोक्षणीयैरहर्निशम्
Yeah.
अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रदानैर्वत्सरेण या विप्राणां भोजनैर्होमैः प्रोक्षणीयैरहर्निशम् अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रदानैर्वत्सरेण या.
विप्राणां भोजनैर्होमैः प्रोक्षणीयैरहर्निशम् अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रदानैर्वत्सरेण या विप्राणां भोजनैर्होमैः प्रोक्षणीयैरहर्निशम् अन्यैश्च विविधैर्भोगैः प्रदानैर्वत्सरेण या.
प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति. So kind of from the Pashu Pushpargya through this Preetirme, it's kind of talking, all the offerings that you do of Pushpair, Flower, Gandh, all the incense, the perfumes, and we talked about, everything that you're doing, including Bhojanair, Vipranam Bhojanair, feeding of the Brahmins, all of that, all the benefits you get from that, equal amount of benefits you'll also get by reciting or by hearing about or talking about the greatness of my Mahatmyam, right? With that, I will be pleased. प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति.
प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति. प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सुकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति.
प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति. प्रीतिर्मे क्रियते सास्मिन् सकृत् सुचरिते श्रुते श्रुतं हरति पापानि तथा रोग्यं प्रयच्छति.
रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु चरितं यन्मे दुष्ट दैत्य निबर्हणम्. Some of this pretty straightforward. Harati papani, so kind of praising me is going to destroy all the sins that you have, right? And then freedom from all of the rogyam. The arogyam will be healthy by eliminating all the diseases. And then also, all the entire world, whoever recounts it, Raksham, I will come and bless all of them. And then whenever you are in a battle, in a yuddham, then again I will come and protect you by saying my name and thinking about me. रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु चरितं यन्मे दुष्ट दैत्य निबर्हणम्.
रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु चरितं यन्मे दुष्ट दैत्य निबर्हणम्. रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु चरितं यन्मे दुष्ट दैत्य निबर्हणम्.
रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु सरितं यन्मे दुष्टदैत्यनिबर्हणम्. रक्षां करोति भूतेभ्यो जन्मनां कीर्तनं मम युद्धेषु सरितं यन्मे दुष्टदैत्यनिबर्हणम्.
तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिः पुट इस युष्माभिः स्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः पुट ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः. तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिः स्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः.
तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिः स्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः. तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिस्तुदयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः
तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिस्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः तस्मिन् श्रुते वैरिकृतं भयं पुंसां न जायते युष्माभिस्तुतयो याश्च ब्रह्मर्षिभिः कृताः
ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्नि परिवारितः. The problem is some of this lines, it's like it's one set of meaning, so in like that's why it's little hard to explain. So in the up to the first line of 25, it's telling that all the shruti, all the greatness that you are actually praising about mine. So whenever you are in a battle and you're fighting against enemies, you think of the way I defeated the enemies, and that will actually dispel all the fears you have of any enemies that you actually have. And plus the praises which you uttered, because the Devi is talking to the Devas, the praises that you uttered and all the people who are chanting this are uttering, right? And including Brahma himself, because if you remember, even Brahma also praised the Devi, right? So all these praises that everybody did, Shubham Matim will give everybody a very auspicious mind and a very calm mind. So that is kind of up to that first half of 25. Then the rest of the 25, Aranya and all, I'll say it when you do 26, 27, because it kind of flows together. Brahmana chakritastastu prayachanti shubham matim aranye prantare vapi davagni parivaritah.
ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्निपरिवारितः ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्निपरिवारितः
ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्निपरिवारितः ब्रह्मणा च कृतास्तास्तु प्रयच्छन्ति शुभां मतिम् अरण्ये प्रान्तरे वापि दावाग्निपरिवारितः
दस्युभिर्वा वृतः पुट इश वृत शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंह व्याघ्रानु यातो. You can kind of say it together. सिंह व्याघ्रानु यातो वा वने वा वन हस्तिभिः. So starting from Aranye, when you are in a forest or you are in a very deserted or isolated road or in a place like that, or if you are in a dhavagni, if you are in a forest fire, or when you are actually surrounded by robbers and everybody else, so when you're surrounded by all of that, or by enemies, whoever is there, or when there is simham, when there is lion or any of the wild animals in the jungle. So all of this, and the next one also continues. When the king, when you are imprisoned by a king or sentenced to death by a wrathful king, all of those times you think about me, think about how I defeated all these asuras, and then I will come and protect you. दस्युभिर्वावृतः शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंहव्याघ्रानुयातो वा वने वा वनहस्तिभिः.
दस्युभिर्वावृतः शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंहव्याघ्रानुयातो वा वने वा वनहस्तिभिः.
Second line, Sindhuji. Simhavyagranu.
Simhavyagranu. That is together, right? Simhavyagranuyato.
No, Simha is one. Vyagranuyato. So Simhavyagranuyato.
Okay. Desyubhirva vridashunye grahido va vishadrubihi Simhavyagranuyato va vane va vanahastibihi.
दस्युभिर्वावृत शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंहव्याघ्रानुयातो वा वने वा वनहस्तिभिः दस्युभिर्वावृत शून्ये गृहीतो वापि शत्रुभिः सिंहव्याघ्रानुयातो वा वने वा वनहस्तिभिः.
राज्ञा क्रुद्धेन चाज्ञप्तो वद्यो बन्धगतोऽपि वा आगूर्णितो वा वातेन स्थितः पुटे स्थितः पोते maharnave. So like we talked about, when the king is imprisoning you, or you are then sentenced to death by a king, or if you're actually stuck in the middle of a mighty sea where you're going in a ship and there's hurricane, whatever hurricanes coming in the ocean, so all of that times also you think about me. Rajnya krudhena chagnapto vadyo bandhagatopi va agurnito va vatena stitah pote maharnave.
Rajnya krudhena jajñapto vadyo bandhagado viva आकूर्णिदो वा वादेन स्थितः पोदे महार्णवे. राज्ञा क्रुद्धेन जाज्ञप्तो वध्यो बन्धगदो विवा आकूर्णिदो वा वादेन स्थितः पोदे महार्णवे.
राज्ञा क्रुद्धेन साज्ञप्तो वध्यो बन्धगतोऽपि वा आकूर्णिनो वा वातेन स्थितः पोते महर्णवे.
Agurnito, second method.
आघूर्णितो राज्ञा क्रुद्धेन साज्ञप्तो वध्यो बन्धगतोऽपि वा आघूर्णितो वा वातेन स्थितः पोते महर्णवे.
Patatsu chapi shastreshu sangrame brishadarune sarva badhasu ghorasu vedanabhyarditopi va. Patatsu chapi shastreshu sangrame brishadarune sarva badhasu ghorasu vedanabhyarditopi va.
पदल्सु चाभिशस्त्रेषु सङ्ग्रामे भृशदारुणे सर्वा बाधासु घोरासु वेदनाभ्यर्दितोऽपि वा. पदल्सु चाभिशस्त्रेषु सङ्ग्रामे भृशदारुणे सर्वा बाधासु घोरासु वेदनाभ्यर्दितोऽपि वा.
पतत्सु चापि शस्त्रेषु सङ्ग्रामे भृशदारुणे सर्वा बाधासु घोरासु वेदनाभ्यर्दितोऽपि वा. पतत्सु चापि शस्त्रेषु सङ्ग्रामे भृशदारुणे सर्वा बाधासु घोरासु वेदनाभ्यर्दितोऽपि वा.
Smaran mamaitach charitam naro muccheta sankatat mama prabhavat simhadhya dasyavo vairinas tatha duradeva phalayante smaratas charitam mama. So again, whoever smaran mamaitach charitam, whoever is thinking about my charitam will be mucchete sankatat, will be freed of all the sankatam they have. And then continues to say, she ends it off by saying, you will get the appropriate blessings, right? Whoever is thinking about all these deeds of mine will automatically be blessed, which is all the things that Devi said earlier. Smaran mamaita charitam naro muccheta sankatat mama prabhavat simhadya dasyavo vairinas tatha duradeva palayante smaratas charitam mama.
Rajesh, is that all three lines together or is it 29?
It's 29 and 30. 29 is up to vairinas tatha and 30 is a separate line.
Okay. Smaran mamaida charidam naro muccheda sankadat mama prabhavat simhadya dasya yo vairinastada duradeva palayante smaradas-charidam mama.
That second line in between das yavo.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Das ya and va. Das yavo.
Okay. Smaran mamaida charidam naro muccheda sankadat mama prabhavat simhadya dasya vo vairinastada duradeva palayante smaradas-charidam mama.
स्मरन् ममैतश्चरितं नरो मुच्येत सङ्कटात् मम प्रभावात् सिंहाद्या दस्य वो वैरिणस्तदा दूरादेव पलायन्ते स्मरतश्चरितं मम. स्मरन् ममैतश्चरितं नरो मुच्येत सङ्कटात् मम प्रभावात् सिंहाद्या दस्य वो वैरिणस्तदा दूरादेव पलायन्ते स्मरतश्चरितं मम.
Rishiruvacha ityuktva sa bhagavati chandika chanda vikrama pashyatameva devanam tatraivantara, you can say it together, tatraivantara dhiyata tepi deva niratankaha is there put is niratankas swadhikaran yatha pura. So with that, the Rishi is continuing the story. So having spoken this blessed Chandika, who was so valorous, who defeated all of them, then disappeared from the sight of the god. So she disappeared. And then once that happens, after that, the gods, once now that the Daityas have been gotten rid of, if you remember originally how it started was they lost all the kingdom when Shumbha and Nishumba came and took everything. So they now went and they regained, because the rest of just nothing much left here. So all the other Daityas, of course, whoever is left runs away, because Shumbha, Nishumba are gone, all the other people are gone. So they all end up going off to respective places. So once they are left, the gods now are able to go back to their respective kingdoms, and each of them get back their positions from which they were displaced when Shumbha and Nishumba took over, and they started getting the shares of their sacrifices from all the things that are happening. Rishiruvacha ityuktva sa bhagavati chandika chanda vikrama pashyatameva devanam tatraiva antaradhiyata tepi deva niratanka swadhikaran yata pura.
Rishiruvaja ityukta sa bhagavati chandika chanda vikrama pashyadameva devanam tatraivandaradhiyada tebi deva niradanga swadhikaranyada pura. Rishiruvaja ityukta sa bhagavati chandika chanda vikrama pashyadameva devanam tatraivandaradhiyada tebi deva niradanga swadhikaranyada pura.
The 32
Bhagavati is a long E.
Long E. That first word of 32 is ityuktva.
Oh, okay.
Iti uktva.
Okay. Thank you.
ऋषिरुवाच इत्युक्त्वा सा भगवती चण्डिका चण्डविक्रमा पश्यतामेव देवानां तत्रैवान्तरधीयता तेऽपि देवा निरातङ्का स्वाधिकारान्यथा पुरा ऋषिर्वाच इत्युक्त्वा सा भगवती चण्डिका चण्डविक्रमा पश्यतामेव देवानां तत्रैवान्तरधीयता तेऽपि देवा निरातङ्का स्वाधिकारान्यथा पुरा
Yajna bhaga bhujaha putta is bhujas sarve chakrur vini hatharayah daityascha devya nihate shumbhe deva ripau yudhi. Short E at the end. Yajna bhaga bhujas sarve chakrur vini hatharayah daityascha devya nihate shumbhe deva ripau yudhi.
Yajna bhaga bhujas sarve chakrurvinihadarayaha daityascha devya nihade shumbhe devaribau yudhi. Yajna bhaga bhujas sarve chakrurvinihadarayaha daityascha devya nihade shumbhe devaribau yudhi.
यज्ञभागभुजः सर्वे चक्रुर्विनिहतारयः दैत्याश्च देव्या निहते शुम्भे देवरिपौ युधि यज्ञभागभुजः सर्वे चक्रुर्विनिहतारयः दैत्याश्च देव्या निहते शुम्भे देवरिपौ युधि
Jagat vidvamsini short E tasmin mahogretula vikrame. It's mahogre atula vikrame, but that S symbol is there. So mahogretula vikrame nishumbhe cha mahavirye sheshaha, put a F, shesha patalam ayayuhu. So the rest of them, they return to the patalas, the remaining daityas. Jagat vidvamsini tasmin mahogretula vikrame nishumbhe cha mahavirye shesha patalam ayayuhu.
Jagadvidvamsini tasmin mahogredula vikrame nishumbhe ja mahavirye shesha padalamayayuhu. Jagadvidvamsini tasmin mahogre
Jagat vidvamsini B. Jagat vidvamsini.
Jagadvidvamsini. Okay.
Yeah.
Jagadvidvamsini tasmin mahogredula vikrame निशुम्भे च महावीर्ये शेषापादालमाययुः
जगद्विध्वंसिनि तस्मिन् महोग्रे तुलविक्रमे निशुम्भे च महावीर्ये शेषाः पातालमाययुः जगद्विध्वंसिनि तस्मिन् महोग्रे तुलविक्रमे निशुम्भे च महावीर्ये शेषाः पातालमाययुः
एवं भगवती long e देवी long e सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः put a f there पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगतः put a f again jagatah paripalanam. So for the blessings of the world, she'll take punaha punaha. She'll keep taking birth or incarnations as and when needed every time. एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगतः परिपालनम्.
एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगतः परिपालनम्. एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगत् परिपालनम्. जगतः परिपालनम्.
एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगतः परिपालनम्. एवं भगवती देवी सा नित्यापि पुनः पुनः संभूय कुरुते भूप जगतः परिपालनम्.
Okay, we'll just switch halfway. Lalita, you can be student, and Shobha, Suresh, you can be student. Taitan mohyate vishwam saiva vishwam prasuyate sa yachita cha vijnanam tushta riddhim prayachati. Shorty. Taitan mohyate vishwam saiva vishwam prasuyate sa yachita cha vijnanam tushta riddhim prayachati.
तयैतन्मोह्यते विश्वं सैव विश्वं प्रसूयते सायाचिता च विज्ञानं तुष्टा रिद्धिं प्रयच्छति. तयैतन्मोह्यते विश्वं सैव विश्वं प्रसूयते सायाचिता च विज्ञानं तुष्टा रिद्धिं प्रयच्छति.
तयैतन्मोह्यते विश्वं सैव विश्वं प्रसूयते सायाचिता स विज्ञानं तुष्टा प्रयच्छति. तयैन्मोह्यते विश्वं सैव विश्वं प्रसूयते सायाचिता स विज्ञानं तुष्टा रिद्धिं प्रयच्छति.
व्याप्तं तयेतत् सकलं ब्रह्मांडं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया. व्याप्तं तयेतत् सकलं ब्रह्मांडं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया.
व्याप्तं तयैतत् सकलं ब्रह्माण्डं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया. व्याप्तं तयैतत् सकलं ब्रह्माण्डं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया.
व्याप्तं तयेतत् सकलं ब्रह्माण्डं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया. व्याप्तं तयेतत् सकलं ब्रह्माण्डं मनुजेश्वर महाकाल्या महाकाले महामारी स्वरूपया.
सैव काले महामारी सैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यजा स्थितिं करोति भूतानां सैव काले सनातनी. Just says that that she is the one who pervades through the Brahmandam, through the entire universe, through the entire Brahmandam. She is also the great destroyer at the time of time. She's there from the beginning, and then she herself is the one who's the creator and the destroyer and the sustainer and all of that. Saiva kale mahamari saiva srishtir bhavatyja sthitim karoti bhutanam saiva kale sanatani.
सैव काले महामारी सैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यज स्थितिं करोति भूतानां सैव काले सनातनी. सैव काले महामारी सैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यज स्थितिं करोति भूतानां सैव काले सनातनी.
सैव काले महामारी सैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यजा स्थितिं करोति भूतानां सैव काले सनातनी. सैव काले महामारी सैव सृष्टिर्भवत्यजा स्थितिं करोति भूतानां सैव काले सनातनी
भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मीर् वृद्धि प्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा लक्ष्मीर् is तथा alakshmir, but that a comes, you say it together, tata lakshmir vinasha yopajayate. So say in the good times, bhavakale, so in times of well-being, she's indeed the Lakshmi, she's the good fortune, right, who is there in the home of every human person. However, when abhave, when the time is, when the times when you're not good, right, when times are bad, at the time she's the alakshmi, she's the misfortune who then results in the destruction of evil. भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मीर्वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा लक्ष्मीर्विनाशायोपजायते.
भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मीर्वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा लक्ष्मीर्विनाशायोपजायते. भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मीर्वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा विनाशायोपजायते. लास्ट ट्राई.
भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मी वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा लक्ष्मीर्विनाशायोपजायते. भवकाले नृणां सैव लक्ष्मीर्वृद्धिप्रदा गृहे सैवाभावे तथा लक्ष्मीर्विनाशायोपजायते.
स्तुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर् धूप गंधादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्तं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम. So when she's stutha, when she's praised, when she's pujita, when she's worshipped with pushpam, with dhupam, with gandham and everything, then she's going to grant you, putramsha, she's going to vittam, she's going to grant you wealth, she's going to grant you, hereditary right children and everything, and then at the end of the day also righteousness, shubham, she's going to grant everything. स्तुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर् धूप गंधादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्रं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम. ओम.
स्तुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर्धूपगन्धादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्तं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम्. ओम. स्तुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर्धूपगन्धादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्तं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम्. ओम.
सुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर्धूपगन्धादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्तमं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम्.
Vittam on the second line, second word, vittam. Yeah.
सुता संपूजिता पुष्पैर्धूपगन्धादिभिस्तथा ददाति वित्तं पुत्रांश्च मतिं धर्मे गतिं शुभाम्. ओम.
सत्या सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः. नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियताः प्रणतास्मतां सांगायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीबाला त्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै नमः.
सत्या सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः नमो देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः. नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियताः प्रणतास्मतां सांगायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीबाला त्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै नमः. सत्या सन्तु यजमा. Okay, once is enough maybe, right? Yeah.
Go ahead, Shobha.
Go ahead, Shobha.
सत्या सन्तु यजमानस्य कामाः ॐ देव्यै महादेव्यै शिवायै सततं नमः. नमः प्रकृत्यै भद्रायै नियता प्रणतास्मतां सांगायै सायुधायै सपरिवारायै सर्वात्मिकायै श्रीबाला त्रिपुरसुन्दर्यै नमः.
Om. Welcome to the 13th chapter. So we are right now finished 671. So 29 more left, right? And the 13th chapter, actually, a lot of them are one-liners. So it's really not 29 two-liner stanza. So I'll kind of give a quick meaning of the full chapter because a lot of them are one-liners. So this is Surata Vaishyoho Varapradhanam, right? So it's granting of the boons to the king and the Vaishya, right? So it kind of completes full circle. So here, so the sage starts off, Rishi, right? Sumedas, who starts off by saying, O king and the Vaishya, I've related to you the entire glory of the Devi, right? Through all of these things, I have told you. And she said, this is why this Devi, like when he started off by saying he introduced her as Vishnu Maya, right? He said, this Vishnu Maya, because of which the world is upheld, and this is the knowledge which the Vishnu Maya has, because of which she's able to do all of these things. And she says, only because of this Vishnu Maya, you, O king, and you, O Vaishya, and everybody else who are living in a delusion, right, of not knowing the real truth, can come out of that with her blessings. So in this, he talks about, he kind of summarizes saying how, we started from the chapter when Madhu Kaitaba were vanquished, then we saw about Mahishasura, then we saw Shumba Nishumba, and within Shumba Nishumba, we saw Dhumra Lochana, we saw Rakta Bija, then Chanda and Munda, because of what she was Chamunda, then Rakta Bija came, then Nishumba and Shumba, so all of that, which has actually come, right? And so he then says, he says, at one point, he says, the fourth one, he says, Sharanam Parameshwari. He says, O king, the only hope you have is to take complete refuge, Sharanam, to this Parameshwari, who is the supreme goddess. You have to take refuge in her. And when you take full refuge in her, then she's actually going to give you everything. She's going to give you the bhogam, which is the enjoyment. At the same time, she's also, for those who want liberation, she will also give you liberation, right? So then, she kind of talks about this. So at this time, so then when the sage talks this, then Markandeya comes again. So if you remember, these are embedded into the big chapter, right? Because we first started as Markandeya was the one who was actually starting the story. And he was beginning to tell the story to the sage called Baguri. That's how we started. Markandeyo Vacha was the first stanza. So now the sage was saying this. Now you zoom out. Now Markandeya is coming as a narrator, and then he continues the story, right? So he says, Markandeya is telling this to Baguri. He says, once the sage Sumedas told about these stories to the king and to the Vaishya, right? Now, if you remember the worries that the king and the Vaishya had, just kind of rewinding ourselves, right? The king's worry was he was kicked out of this kingdom, he lost his kingdom, but somehow his mind was still stuck in the kingdom, right? He felt like, how are my people doing? How are my, chariots doing? How are my elephants doing? I lost all my things. Will my citizens be able to take care of? That was the worry that the king had. However, the Vaishya had different worries, that even though his own family kicked him out, right, he was still thinking about them, because he was wondering, how are they doing, although they kicked him out of the house. So he had forsaken everything. So they were in different stages. So now the sage is recommending to the king and the Vaishya that you go and do penance on this Devi. You go do meditation on the Devi, right? He says that Devi Suktam, which we chanted, right, in the fifth Namo Devi Mahadevi. He says you meditate on that, right? So both the king and the Vaishya meditate on that for almost 3 years, right? And of course, they go through increasing level of penance, right? So they worship the Devi. It starts off by telling how they worship the Devi with, flowers and pushpam, deepam, and all of that stuff. And then they actually go into fasting. So fasting first is not consuming food, but they also then go into fasting of the senses, right? So you're also getting your senses under control and getting into that mode of meditation and constantly thinking about the Devi. And they even reached a point where it says, they then start offering their blood as sacrifice to the Devi, right? And after they do it for 3 years, right? Finally, Chandika now comes in front of them, comes in front of both the Vaishya and comes in front of the king as well. And Chandika, after 3 years of penance, she comes. And then she comes and says, "O king and your Vaishya, I'm very happy with what you all have done, the penance you have done, right? And you have praised me. So please ask me what you want." Now, this king, although he's learned it, he had this thing at the back of, because it's Kshatriya, right? So he still has at the back of his mind that I shouldn't have walked away, right? You all have your dharma to do. And he felt like he walked away from it. And as a Kshatriya, he needs to go fight, right? And he still wants to go and win back all of that, right? So he prays to the Devi that, number one, I want to go win back the kingdom that I have lost. And two, of course, he's going to be devoted, but he says, I want to have the greatest of the kingdom, right? If you think I'm eligible for it, can you please give me the greatest of the kingdom? So that is the boon that the king asks. So if you remember the original thing, when it started with Markandeya, right? He said, he starts off by saying, who that's about this, what do you call, about the second Manu, right? He says, Savarnis Surya Tanayo Yo Manu Katyate Ishtama. He says, I'm going to talk to you about how the Savarni Manu came about, who was the king of the sun god. How he's going to become the king, I'm going to talk about his story, right? So when this king now is telling Devi that I want to go and fight, I want to gain everything I have lost and get a kingdom which is massive, Devi says, yes, you will go, you go back now, and you will get what you want, and you are going to become the next Manu. So right now you are in Vivaswata Manu, the next Manu, Savarni Manu, you'll become the next Manu, and because with that Manu, you end up ruling, right? For, like we said, 71 Chaturyugams, you'll get to rule. So you'll get to rule for a really long time. And once you become that Manu, then automatically the next step is liberation. So he says that's the blessing you are getting. Next is Vaishya. Then he says, I've learned, I've got my lesson. And he says, my wish is I want the ultimate knowledge, right, to get into me. Says the ultimate knowledge to get into you is ultimately liberation, knowing that you are one with the goddess, right? So if the blessing he gets is, so be it. So when the Devi blesses him with the ultimate knowledge, he then merges into the Devi and then he gets liberated because that was what he wanted. So that's why it says the blessings that the Devi gives is Bhoga Swarga Pavargada. So if you want Bhogam, if you want enjoyment and you want to go in that line, you'll get that. If you want Swargam or Apavargata, if you want to put an end to your life and get liberation, then you will get that. So that's how it ends, and then there's some more at the end, but we'll cover those meanings when it comes. So that is what happens. That is so this is the Charitram that Markandeya is telling him about happening in the second Manu's time, about how this eighth Manu is happening, and that is a summary of this here. So Om Rishiru Vacha Etat te Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dharyate Jagate. Om Rishiruvacha Yetatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyam Uttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dharyate Jagate.
Om Rishiruvacha Etat te Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyamuttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedham Dharyate Jagat. Om Rishiruvacha Etat te Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyamuttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedham Dharyate Jagat.
Om Rishiruvacha Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyamuttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dharyate Jagat. Etatte Katitam Bhupa Devi Mahatmyamuttamam Evam Prabhava Sa Devi Yayedam Dharyate Jagat.
Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvamesha Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha. Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvamesha Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha.
Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvamesha Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha. Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvamesha Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha.
Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvameva Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha. Vidya Tathaiva Kriyate Bhagavat Vishnu Mayaya Taya Tvamesha Vaishyascha Tathaivanye Vivekinaha.
Mohyante Mohitash Chaiva Moham Eshyanti Chapare Tamu Paihi Maharaja Sharanam Parameshwarin Aradhita Saiva Nrinam Bhoga Swarga Pavargada. So Bhoga, Swarga, Apavargata. So Bhogam is Bhogam, Swargam is heavens for sitting, Apavargata is kind of liberation. So putting an end to the cycle. Mohyante Mohitaschaiva Mohameshyanti Chapare Tamupaihi Maharaja Sharanam Parameshwarim Aradhita Saivanam Bhoga Swarga Pavargada.
Mohyante Mohitaschaiva Mohameshyanti Chapare Tamupaihi Maharaja Sharanam Parameshwarim Aradhita Saivan Rinam Bhogas Varga Pavargata. मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गता
मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा मोह्यन्ते मोहिताश्चैव मोहमेष्यन्ति चापरे तामुपैहि महाराज शरणं परमेश्वरीम् आराधिता सैव नृणां भोगस्वर्गापवर्गदा
मार्कण्डेयो वाच इति तस्य वचः पुट इष् वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः पुट इस् सुरतः स नराधिपः मार्कण्डेयो वाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः मार्कण्डेय उवाच इति तस्य वचः श्रुत्वा सुरतः स नराधिपः
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं so they go into the penance निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च that's one word राज्य अपहरणेन so प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च
प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति मत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च निर्विण्णोति
அது தம் ரிஷிமா
Rishim. Okay, two different words. Tam Rishim, but it becomes Tam Rishim. So it becomes a Mr. Tam Rishim.
அப்ப தம் ரிஷிம்னு சொல்லலாம் இல்லையா?
Tam Rishim. You can say Tam Rishim.
Okay. प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं संस्थितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च प्रणिपत्य महाभागं तं ऋषिं शमितव्रतं शंसितव्रतं निर्विण्णोति ममत्वेन राज्यापहरणेन च
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया if you want to break it संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थम अंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थमंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थमंबाया नदी पुलिन स्थितः
जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थमंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः जगाम सद्यस्तपसे सच वैश्यो महामुने संदर्शनार्थमंबाया नदी पुलिन संस्थितः.
Yeah, and therefore it's easy to break it as sandarshanartham ambaya. Easy to break it. Sacha vaishyas tapastepe devi suktam param japan tau tasmin puline devyaha devya kritva murtim mahimayim. So they made a murti of the Devi with the clay on the river banks, and then they started praying. They started meditating on the Devi Suktam. Saja vaishyastapasthepe Devi Suktam param japan tau tasmin puline devyah kritva murtim mahimayim.
सच वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सूक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम् स च वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सूक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम्
स च वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सुक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्याः कृता मूर्तिं महीमयीम्
कृत्वा
स-
मूर्ति
कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम् स च वैश्यस्तपस्तेपे देवी सुक्तं परं जपन् तौ तस्मिन् पुलिने देव्या कृत्वा मूर्तिं महीमयीम्
अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुट F तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ
अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ
अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारौ यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ अर्हणां चक्रतुस्तस्याः पुष्पधूपाग्नितर्पणैः निराहारो यथाहारौ तन्मनस्कौ समाहितौ
ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रासृगुक्षितम् एवं समाराधयतोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यथात्मनोः. This is where in the previous line it says niraharo. So this is where they're beginning to like fast and everything, right? And continue to do that. And then they're offering, they control their senses as well. Tan manaskau, controlling their senses as well. And at the same time, also, they start offering their blood as a sacrifice. Paritushta Jagadhatri Pratyaksham Praha Chandika. So then Chandika comes Pratyaksham in front of them. Dadatustau balim chaiva nijagatra srugukshitam evam samaradhayatos varshairyatmanoh paritushta jagadhatri pratyaksham praha Chandika.
ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्र सृगुक्षितम् एवं दयतो वा वर्षैर्यथात्मनोः
Correct. Tribhir
यथात्मनोः ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्र सृगुक्षितम् एवं वर्षयथात्मनोः
Paritushta
परितुष्ट जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका.
On the second line, later on the samaradhayatos is sound.
समाराधयतोस् त्रिभिर् वर्षैर्
यथात्मनो. Correct. 3 years. Tribhir varshayir yathatmano.
Okay, thank you.
ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रासृगुक्षितम् एवं समाराधयतोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यथात्मनोः परितुष्टा जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका ददतुस्तौ बलिं चैव निजगात्रासृगुक्षितम् एवं समाराधयतोस्त्रिभिर्वर्षैर्यथात्मनोः परितुष्टा जगद्धात्री प्रत्यक्षं प्राह चण्डिका.
Okay, we'll stop here today. So next class we'll just finish just 10-15 more, and then the Uttarangam, like I said, it's pretty much the same repeats. If you can practice that and come, the Purvangam, whatever we did before the Navakshari, right? It's the same thing that comes. If you can just practice that thing and come, then we can just get through that class pretty easily, because the same stanzas are going to come. So we won't even say it twice. We'll just say one time and just move on, right? And that will end it. Okay. All right.
Rajesh, or help Rajesh in the Devi Mahatmyam chant பண்ணும்போது when we chanted, sometimes I see that they go to some page in the end and then they go back and things. So can you send us a sequence?
In the same way, the same sequence now.
Oh, So sometimes they skip some things.
No.
Continuous
I think
chant
they do some stuff extra in the beginning.
Oh.
They do some extra stuff which we'll do later. So that is an extra nyasam and all is there. So even before, so first they start with Ganesha Atharva Shirsham, then they go to Devi Atharva Shirsham, then they do Matruka Nyasam. That Nyasam takes while, and then they start with Siddha Kunchika Stotram and Devi Kavacham and everything. Yeah. So we'll do all of that once we finish. Once we finish this thing, this is the main thing. So all of that is extra stuff, right?
Okay.
நீங்கள் இப்ப பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ண சொல்றது அந்த நவாரண ஜபமா இப்ப பிராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி வாங்க சொன்னீங்களே
இல்ல இந்த Uttarangam you'll have this Purvangam just before the Navakshari. You can just take a look at this right now, right after this 13th chapter. There's Uttarangam there. You know, Khadgini, Shulini, Ghora, Gadini, Chakrini, Tata. Adella what you've already done before, right? And then if you see even after that Anganyasam, it's Khadgam, Chakra, Gade, Chuchapa, Parigan, Shulam, Bushundim, Shiraha. All of that you've learned before. Okay. So we'll just do like a revision, Mari. I won't break it by word. So I just say just practice that and come once, then it will be easy. We can wrap it up quickly in the next class.
Just continue that, okay?
Yes, sir. That way we'll just quickly go through it once as a revision, Mari. I won't teach it because you already learnt it. There is just one small change in the nyasam in this, which I will tell what that is.
இப்போ நம்ம சாண்ட் பண்ணினோம்னா கோவில்ல சாண்ட் பண்றோம் இல்லையா அந்த நவராத்திரி போது அப்போ இதே மாதிரி தான் அதர்வன
So we will
சீஷம்ல
start we won't do Atharva Shirsham and all. We'll start with Siddha Kunchika Stotram. We'll start from there. We'll start from there.
And then all the 13th chapter வரைக்கும்
All the 13th chapter we'll do this nyasam at the very end. We'll do the Devi Suktam, and then if we have time we'll also do the Rahasya Trayam, which is there, which takes about 15 minutes for 3 Rahasya Trayam, 15-20 minutes max. Adu vandu we'll do depending on time. We may or may not do it typically.
I see. Okay.
But in general it is all there, but this is the main one. The 13 chapters and the Purvangam are the main ones.
Sure.
Are we having class next Tuesday? Whether you will be around?
Yeah, I'll be in India, but we'll take that class. We'll do that class, and because I want to complete it at least up to the Uttarangam, we'll finish it. And then the week after that will be Navaratri week, which we'll skip. And the week after that is Vijayadashami week, which also we'll have to skip because I'm kicking off something else. So Anala, we have to skip that. And then we'll continue from after Vijayadashami, after the 2 weeks.
Sure.
Okay. Thanks, Rajesh.
Okay.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.